Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
So Miklos is not going to make it today. So he left me in charge. So you guys are all in for a ride is what I'm going to say. So welcome to the ride. It's going to be fun. But we'll we'll give everybody a few more minutes and then we'll get started.
Hey, Seth, so you know, we do have the required 60%.
Okay, cool. Then let's get started. I know we're all on a time schedule and I'm not in my typical office. I'm at a totally different health department today. So I'm a little out of my usual routine also, but let's get started and start going through some of these change requests that we have. So Miklos made a schedule for change requests that we have. And what I think we should do is just start going through our change requests, having any discussion that we have on some of these change requests that we have scheduled to talk about today. And then we can move forward and Dewey, you might have to help me along a little bit with this, but what I think after we decide what we're going to do with these change requests, whether we decide to vote, whether we decide to send it back and have some edits, those types of things. We'll fill out a TRC. Our facilitator, whoever's in charge of that change request, will go to the, it says my internet connection is unstable. So let's cross our fingers that it stays stable. After we have our discussion, the facilitator will go into the CMAHC website and fill out a TRC evaluation form, and then we can move it forward from there. Does that sound like the right direction? Those of you that have done this before have a lot more experience than I do, but that's what I understand. Terry, you're shaking your head. That's how I feel. Cool. Okay, so I will share my screen. If I can figure out how to do that. And I'm going to work off of our Microsoft Teams list. Maybe I will work off that. We'll see. We'll try that first and then decide from there. So we have our form here. And today's scheduled to go over, we have a few of those. So this is the anticipated discussion. So Grace, I saw that you were here. Let's start with your change request. So I can open up the change request. Let's read through it as a group. And then Grace, any discussion that we have, any feedback? Well, that didn't work. That's what it says. That didn't work. Fantastic. We might have to try that again.
We may need to go to the CMAHC website to get the link to work.
Okay, let's try that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can share a different screen because I do have CMAHC pulled up. I need to work it around a different direction though. Okay, here we go, maybe. Pardon my technical difficulties, I apologize. Like I said, I'm in a different building, so we're gonna make it work. Okay. Okay, change requests, and I believe I'm gonna have to look at my other screen to see which one that, or Grace, do you know the number of yours that you were working on? And I can pull it
It's
up that way.
right. It's 6.6.3.1, I
Okay.
believe. That's the note.
And is
Uh,
it 001? Or
yes.
00? Okay, 001.
Oh, no. I think it
Oh,
says that's a, what did it say? Immediate
imminent
interlock.
health hazards.
It actually has to do with chemical storage.
Okay,
So yeah,
that
improper
one.
chemical storage, right? So what they're saying, what they're requesting, oh, there you go. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Is that, you know, I'm just going to read this. Two important
Sounds
safety
great.
measures are preventing unauthorized access to the chemical storage area and providing the required signage on the chemical storage space doors. These safety measures are required in the code, but failure to provide these safety measures is an imminent health hazard, which should be a violation requiring immediate correction or closure. So what they're saying is add a new item 17 to the imminent health hazard list if there is no signage to prevent unauthorized access to the chemical storage.
Okay. Any discussion on this? So, do we feel that that's something that's important? Any discussion on this?
So I've contacted the support group, and several people responded, and some just say, yeah, that makes sense. You know, there should be signage, or it should be imminent health hazard, and add to it. And as is, some said, well, this is needed for emergency personnel, so yes, we should add it. Some said, yes, we should add it with condition that failure to prevent unauthorized access to the chemical storage is considered imminent health hazard. So that's that. And some said, no, this is not an imminent health hazard, but should be part of multiple violations that leads to it. And there always should be an immediate corrections. So we had some, divide and, in saying, yes, this is imminent health hazard, it should be there. Some said we should have some conditions. Some said this is not an imminent health hazard, but there should be corrected.
Okay. So we're kind of all over the board, it sounds like, whether
Yeah.
we need to add this in, whether it needs some additional information, or whether we can use it. I guess let's just start the discussion. What do we feel as a technical review committee? Is this something, what's our thoughts?
My initial thought was that, what it's saying is that if it doesn't have sign, then it's an imminent health hazard. But I don't quite agree with that. I think it is more of what happens because of, is more important. Like, let's say you observed actually unauthorized person entering.
Mm-hmm.
But then even then, I'm thinking you can easily correct it. If somebody was observing and saw it, then you could say, hey, you can't go in there, and then correct it. It will be corrected during inspection. If it's corrected during inspection, can you close the facility? You cannot, right? And then
Right.
then I also think, even if it was a remote chemical storage, let's say there was somewhere else and they kept it unlocked, and you observe it during inspection, then you could have said, please lock this door, and then it will be corrected during inspection. But on the other end, maybe if you cannot correct it during inspection, and then because there's no way of locking chemical storage, and you cannot relocate the chemicals to a proper storage, then possibly I could see that you could say, no, this is unhealthy, imminent health hazard to the public. We need to close your facility down. So it seems like there seems to be multiple violations, something that cannot be corrected, that that you would, but when there's lifeguards, or there are people, certified pool operators present, and they're actively seeing, chemical storages and pump rooms and such, I don't see how it would be an imminent health hazard, even if there is no sign. That's my thought on it.
I like that thought, Grace. I think that the signage itself may not be the imminent health hazard, because the sign's not going to prevent somebody in and of itself. So if they don't have signage, so big deal. But they need to educate folks, but I don't know that the signage is necessarily what's the imminent health hazard, missing that signage. Go ahead, Kent.
I think that there's a difference between pools that are staffed and pools that are unstaffed.
Yes.
And if you have a staffed pool where someone is on the pool deck watching that door, I think it's a violation that needs to be corrected, but you can give them a day or a week or whatever, and just make sure no one goes in there. I believe that it probably is an imminent health hazard, say at an apartment complex or a hotel that is unstaffed, and the pool should be shut down until it's rectified.
I like that thought too, Kent. I think there is a difference between a staffed person there that can actually monitor and manage access to that versus something that's just unlocked and no signage or anything there too. Would we make a correction to this change request or send it back to the submitter? Again, this is a new process for me, so if I'm overstepping or need to figure something out, please let me know.
Yeah, this is Joe. I think that the second half of the new proposed language should be eliminated.
Okay.
Because I think what we're really worried about is someone having access to the chemicals. Even if it's unmanaged, there's no sign. If the door is locked and no one can get in the chemical storage space, they're not going to have access or even have the ability to be exposed to that. So I don't think the signage aspect, of course the sign needs to be there, but I don't think that's what the imminent health hazard is. I think the imminent health hazard is having someone be able to actually get into a bucket of chemicals. And that can be prevented with a locked door or chains, more than just, it doesn't have to be a person. And even if there is a sign there, if the door is not locked, someone could still go in there. People don't care what's on the signs.
Yep.
So I am in support of the first half of it. Of course, the signage needs to be there, but I don't think that's the imminent hazard part.
I like that, Joe. So the proposed change to the text, to the first half of it says failure to prevent unauthorized access to chemical storage spaces as required in section 4.9.2.3, period. I think that we say
and that very well may save someone's life right there.
Yeah, absolutely. From getting into the chemicals or having unauthorized access to those things that could be very harmful. So I think that's a good suggestion, Joe. Any agreements there? I don't know. Do I take a vote? How does this work?
Sarah? I agree with Joe.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was going to
Thanks,
ask
Terry.
the same thing, Dewey. Can we make an edit and vote on the edit, or does the submitter have to make a recommended change and then have it come back for a vote?
So just as a reminder, there are a couple of options, right? Option one is you can vote on it as is and make that determination. Option two is you can go back to the submitter with recommendations from the TRC to make improvements. And then that would come back after those improvements are made for a vote. Option three is, and this is kind of an extreme option, so I would recommend being judicious in its use, right? The TRC can edit a CR and vote on it as edited without submitter approval. But again, I would recommend that stay as an extreme very judicious use of authority and not something commonly wielded.
Yeah, for transparency's sake, I think having the submitter be involved in the process as much as possible is the
Yeah.
right way to go.
Yeah, I agree. So with that discussion, I think Terry agrees with that. Joe agrees with that. I'm on board with it. Sending it.
Sarah, this
Go
is
ahead.
Heather. I agree with everything Joe said.
I love it. So
This is
Perfect.
Grace. I think Joe summarized it very well. Thank you.
perfect. So it sounds like we're all pretty much in agreement that it's really the unauthorized access that we're worried about as far as an imminent health hazard, not necessarily the signage. So I propose that Grace, since this one's the one that you're the facilitator for, maybe you could make contact with the submitter, who is Tom,
Okay.
and make a suggestion. Say we brought this forward to our technical review committee, and this was the discussion, and see if they want to make some revisions to that and resubmit, and then we can discuss it further after that point. Does that sound like the right direction? Are we headed in the right place? That's what I'm saying.
Sounds great, Sarah. And I think our conclusion of, our suggestion to Thomas is that we actually ended, if you can scroll down a little bit to this this page, that it ends at failure to prevent unauthorized access to chemical storage spaces required in section 4.9.2.3 and stop there instead of going further with the signage discussion here, part of this sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, that's how I understood it. Anybody else? Is that what we think?
Yeah, I think that's acceptable.
Okay,
Yes, that's acceptable.
cool. Levi, James, Jenna, any thoughts, ideas?
Sounds good to me.
I'll chime in quickly here. I think that the dividing line should be if the TRC can already finish it, such as we edit it, we all agree on it, and we can approve it, that's the fastest way forward. And in some cases, like this case, we're just going to delete the second part, and that's one of those that, he either does that or, we don't approve it. So
Right.
I would say that in this case, this is probably one of those that would be easy to handle on the committee versus sending it back and then taking time to review it again later. But both cases work. I don't have a problem going either direction. I was just looking at the end section there about the requirements, and those requirements in sections 4.9.2.3 are a little bit weird as hell. There's automatic locks that are required that are corrosion resistant, and there's just a whole bunch of things that may not be fixable on an inspection, so to speak. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think preventing access is really important. I think it should be a reason for closure, but some of the requirements in 4.9.2.3 are, I think things we would
A little extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that may be something that maybe a different change request submitted on some of those requirements on 4.9.2.3 would be appropriate to submit, or from a submitter. I like that discussion, James. I think it's important that yes, I think we're all in agreement that the second half of that is the part that we want to get rid of. But I do think looping in and being transparent. So I think having Grace reach out to our submitter and just say, hey, this is what we agreed on. Are you okay with that? And then we can move forward in further discussions and fill out our submission, what we decide to do with that. But I think looping in our submitter so that they know and are aware of the discussion, I think is a good direction to go. Cool.
Sarah, I
Yeah.
would definitely get in touch with James and express our decision and our discussions and ask him actually
Cool.
if it's okay, if we can, if he understands and
Yeah.
agrees, that we can move forward with that first section only.
Yeah, I think that's great. So yeah, we'll have Grace get a hold of Tom and make sure that he's aware that that's the decision, and then we'll move forward that way. Cool. First one down. Are we
Yay.
ready for are we ready for the next one?
Yes.
Let me find. Thank you, Grace, for being our guinea pig. As far
Anytime.
as far as the first one, whew, we made it. Let me look at my I have to go back to my Microsoft Teams comment, and I will put comments in that change request on the CMAHC website to make sure that that was kind of our discussion. So I will put comments in. I'm not going to do it today because I'm not at my normal place, but we'll work on that one a little bit later. All right, the next one I have is, and I didn't see Kevin on the call. Is Kevin Boyer on our call? Okay, we'll skip that one since I don't have him here today. The next one I have is change request on 5.9-001. Levi, are you ready to talk about that one?
Yeah, I can speak to that one.
Okay, let me pull it up. It might take me a second, but I'm gonna get there.
No problem.
And it was 5.9-001, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I found it now. I just need to share my screen so you all can see it also.
Yeah, actually, I just looked at 5.91 and 5914 in the 4th edition. That's the operations chapter. That's where it says chemicals shall be stored to prevent access by unauthorized individuals.
So that goes back to our discussion on the last change
Right.
request, correct?
Right. It doesn't get into too many details. It just says make sure they're stored to prevent access by folks that shouldn't be getting in there.
And the request was to make it an imminent health hazard. If it's not, correct?
It's currently not.
Yeah. So maybe we could
I was just
refer
throwing
to,
that out there for informational
Yeah.
purposes. We can move
I
on.
love
to
it, Joe. It's good. Good discussion because maybe that reference, we need to reference back to 5.9. Good thought. All right, Levi, I'm ready.
So this one's basically just asking for a change to the so I don't get it wrong here. I use it enough, but I sometimes forget. I believe it's the section that's the section heading name. It's gone through the TSC. They have basically said, yeah, we'll accept it, except for change the name to chemical storage management. And it kind of comes down to how the, so I guess it's part. So they want to change the name to the part 5.9 to a chemical storage room. But then the TSC wanted to, kind of accept it, but change the wording that was used to, sorry, I'm trying to pull it up here. Chemical management, yeah, is what they were wanting to use. What's kind of funky here is that the way the MAHC set up, of course, is based on chapter 4. You can go look at 4.9, and it's filter and / equipment room. And so they coincide with each other, whether it's the construction or the management, so that it's easy to reference. Okay, well, I know 4.9 goes over filter and equipment room for the construction. 5.9 makes sense to go over the same item. Basically, the way I see it is that there just needs to be a placeholder at 5.9. It should be 5.91 is equipment and filter room. And then 5.9.2 would then be the chemical storage space, and go into the details that it talks about. The way it's set up right now is that 5.9 just goes straight into chemical storage stuff. And so it is a little bit confusing in that it's under part 5.9. So it's a little funky. Is everybody tracking what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
So I mean, to me, it's because the part that they're talking about changing doesn't really need change. To me, it's a deny. If they wanted to submit one for a 5.91 to put a placeholder, I would see it as a change. But you know, making the suggestion to them that, hey, 5.9 lines up with 4.9, it makes sense. You need to look a little deeper in how it's set up, and you could submit a change request for this. But I don't see it as a change to that. I think it just needs additional things put into the code, because it's more of just creating a placeholder, because there is nothing for the equipment room. So it gets a little bit confusing.
Right. Excuse me that I haven't looked it up yet, but does the MAC currently require all chemical storage to be in a separate room from the rest of the filter equipment?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't looked it up either, Kent, so I'm grateful that you you chimed in there.
Right.
So what about facilities that are already built? Do we have to retrofit to that, or is there something in the MAC that says as constructed at the time of the MAC? I can see, because there's several pool facilities that I know of that the filter equipment room is the chemical storage room. They're in the same room.
Right. And I can tell you in New Mexico, basically we can only implement the requirement of having a separate chemical storage space on anything that's newly constructed or substantially altered, is what the MAC says. So it's newly constructed after the adoption of the MAC, which we adopted it in 2016, and then anything that's substantial alteration, which is 50% of the replacement cost. And so it does still say in parts of the code that they should be stored safely, things like that. But yeah, as far as requiring a completely separate storage space for an existing facility, the answer is no. At least we don't force that matter in New Mexico.
Yeah, I think Levi, that's pretty close to what some other states are doing also. So moving forward, let's talk about this a little bit. Levi, you proposed to reject this change request or send it back and have an edit saying, hey, we need to have a 5.9.1 holding that place for a chemical storage room, and a 5.9.2 for an equipment filter room. It doesn't need to be in those orders. Let's discuss that.
So I mean, that's, I guess, where I'm asking for a little bit of direction, maybe from Dewey, is do we reject it and give him the comments of, well, you know, 5.9 doesn't really need to be changed. And then is there a way to just to me, it's an editing issue, that there need to be a placeholder in there. I mean, it makes sense in my head, but this is also my first time on one of these. So that's where I'm kind of asking for a little direction. I don't see the need for the change to 5.9. I see the need for an editing change in the next edition to put a placeholder there, so that maybe it's not as confusing.
I agree, Levi. And if we can get the submitter, we can get Tom to resubmit with our suggestions about a 5.91 and a 5.92 as placeholders, then that becomes an even easier CR that's strictly editorial.
Yeah.
We don't even need to put it before the CMAC membership to vote upon. Yeah, I agree with you. This could be handled editorially.
Yeah, just to answer Levi's question, a little bit more directly, and Levi, I'm sorry, this may not be the answer you want. It's at the TSC's discretion.
Okay.
Right. So whatever y'all feel is appropriate, right? Whether it's, straight up accept, down vote, kickback for corrections and feedback, it is whatever y'all decide as the TSC.
Okay. I mean, I'm up for suggestions. I'd be happy to reach out to the submitter and have a conversation with him about why I don't see the need, see if he wants to submit a change. But I mean, it's up to, I guess, everybody how we think we should move forward. Should we just reject it or try reaching out to him and have him understand the point of view?
I'm thinking if this were my CR to facilitate, I would probably write up the suggested language that we're talking about and send it to him for discussion.
Kent, I like that idea. I
Sounds good, Ken.
think that's a good direction to go. I don't know if I hold official votes, like all in favor, I follow what Kent just said. Do we make a motion? I'm not quite sure how this process works.
I
So
think we have two choices here. We can reject it as it is or accept it as it is, or we can send it back with our suggestions.
yeah. So I guess, yeah, perfect. Thanks, Joe.
Just a quick note. Quick note, Sarah, we do not
Yeah.
have to follow Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay, good. Phew.
So a simple ask for a vote is sufficient.
Okay. How do we feel so I think an ask for a vote, you have those two choices. So we can vote to say we either reject it or accept it. And at this point, I think we're leaning towards rejecting it, or we can send it back to the submitter. That's our other vote. So I guess all in favor of sending it back to the submitter. I think that's my vote.
Anyone object to that?
No.
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 Okay. All right, Levi, there's your task list. So if you'll reach out to Tom, he's going to be bombarded by us a couple of times, it looks like. If you'll reach out to Tom and say, hey, it would be easier to make this as an editorial change, and it would just kind of describe what you described to us as far as making those changes in those different sections for those rooms. I think that's a good way to go. Cool.
Perfect.
2 down, guys, 2 down. We are cruising, right? All right, next, I got to look at my list to see who is presenting today. Kent's not here. Is Corey Schwab here? That's another imminent health hazard one. That was another one we were going to discuss. Terry, it looks like you're up with the change chlorine dioxide to capitalized chlorine, lowercase dioxide, to lowercase chlorine, dioxide. Was that one yours, Terry?
That's mine. Yes.
Cool. So 5.7.3.3.1.1-0001.
Yes.
Okay. If you just give me a second, I'll call that up too. I'm taking some notes too, so.
No problem. I'm kind of ready. So
You're kind of ready. You sound like
Yeah.
me. I'm kind of ready. I love it. It's perfect. I only have one screen. Typically I have 3 screens so I can juggle all this on different screens. I'm juggling with one screen and I'm not so good with one hand. That's what I'm saying. Okay, 5.7.3.3.1.1.
yes.
Okay, cool. Now I just need to share my screen. I've got it called up.
Yeah, and Sarah, something that works for me when I'm remote with one screen is I use an iPad for a second screen.
Ooh, good idea. I don't have an iPad with me though.
Oh, okay.
I have my phone, but I don't know if that would help. Perfect. I appreciate it, Kent. Okay, we've got it pulled up, but can you all see that now on the screen?
This one's pretty simple.
We like
and
some.
yes, yeah, well, I think it's pretty simple. The suggestion is basically to revise chlorine dioxide. It was in the chlorine word was in all caps, and he simply wants to make a change to make chlorine in lowercase letters, because his explanation in the documentation was that in all caps that it refers to elemental chlorine, and not chlorine. It has nothing. It's not chlorine dioxide. That's how I understood his request.
Yeah, and there's not a definition for chlorine dioxide
No.
in our glossary. So he's right. It shouldn't be capitalized.
Yeah.
It's confusing the way it is. So this looks like a pretty straight up editorial one to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's one we need to vote on.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
all.
I agree.
think it's an editorial one. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so all in favor of changing this to editorial change request and then putting it in front of the editorial board, which is pretty easy to do. All in favor of that? Aye.
I
Any opposed? Cool. So I'm gonna just make a list to make this an editorial.
And as a question, is that something I basically need to go back into and do, as I'm new to this?
We have a lot of newbies.
Yeah.
I love it. I think I can do that, Terry.
Okay.
So I'll work with Miklos and Dewey and make sure that I can do that. And then I'll get that in front of the editorial board. So I think you're done. We can put in there, maybe if you want to add some comments in there that said, hey, we discussed it as a TRC committee, and decided to make this an editorial. And then I think we're good. Cool.
Okay, I'll do that.
I like easy ones. Are there any
me
other
too.
easy ones?
Hi, Sarah. This is Heather.
Yeah.
Yes, mine is also easy and is pretty much almost identical to Terry's, and
Yeah.
mine was 5.7.3.3.1, and it's the same thing, the same capitalization issue, just in a different section. So I would ask that this needs to go to editorial as well.
Awesome. I love it, Heather. Yeah. When we were discussing, because we've talked about yours earlier in a different,
ma'am.
yeah. So I think we're the same thing with yours too. So let me get back. I have to move my little screen over here. Go to change request. And yours was 5.3. What was the number on yours, Heather?
5.7.3.3.1.
Okay. And it is the same request. So I think we do the same thing with this one.
Yes.
Let's read through it so that we have it. Can you guys still see it on there?
Yes.
Cool. Thank you. So same thing, chlorine and chlorine dioxide should not be written as all caps. Again, that's another editorial change. Chlorine is defined, chlorine dioxide is not defined. When it's all caps, that seems like a definition. It refers back to a definition in the way that it's written. So I think we can make this an editorial one also. So I will write that down as an editorial. Are we all in agreement with that? Everybody in agreement, say aye.
I
Yay! Robert's rules. I'm trying to break away, but it's tricky.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
okay.
that one looks like that someone did a search and capitalized every word that's of chlorine without understanding the context.
Yeah.
Yep. I think you're exactly right, Kent. So
And so Sarah, just so I understand, okay, so if you scroll down to the bottom of that page, that you've got a comment box there. Is that where you want me to put the comments that we discussed it and will be sent to the editorial board?
perfect. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Because I'm
Yep.
I'm brand new at this as well.
Thanks for the
Lots of
question.
newbies. I love it.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, so there's two of them that we have a decision. Two of them we're sending back to our submitter. Two of them we are making editorial changes on, so I think we're good. Are there any others that we wanted to discuss today? You guys want 20 minutes back, 15 minutes back? Kent's giving me the thumbs up. Terry is too. Yay! And then I'm sweating in here, you guys. Whew. I'll be off the hot seat if we do that.
Well, you did a great job, Sarah.
Thanks, Joe. I need that
Knock
atta girl
some things
today,
out.
right?
Yeah, you get the proverbial pat on the back.
Perfect. A little atta girl for me. Yeah, I think with that, I think we'll adjourn the meeting. There were a couple of others that were scheduled on the docket today, but we don't have the facilitator on the call today. So I think with that, we'll adjourn this meeting and meet again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Any
I had a
comment?
comment.
Go ahead,
on,
Joe.
August 2nd, our next meeting. That will
Mhm.
be during the week of the NEHA AEC.
It
I will
will.
be there. I think that Wednesday is a big day for working with a lot of our grantees that are doing presentations. So I'm not so sure I'll be available, but I didn't know if any others were planning to attend and may not be able to join the TRC that day. I certainly will try, but you never know. I may not be able to make it.
Joe, I'm in the same boat. I will be at the NEHA conference also. So I was just gonna head up to my hotel room and join in that way. So again, one
Yeah, that's
screen.
my
I'll have to
plan.
bring
I'll
my
have to see if I
Well,
need to
and
be
me and
somewhere to
Nicholas will be
support
there
someone.
too.
Hey, cool.
Yeah.
We may not get a quorum.
Yeah, we may not get a quorum. You're exactly right, Kent. I think that's the worry if we are not. So Miklos, Dewey, Joe, and I, if we're at NEHA, we may not have a quorum of all of us there. So that would be the only issue. I think we move forward having the meeting as scheduled. And then if we get a quorum, great. If we don't, we can postpone those CRs to the next one. They've slowed down, Dewey, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. We haven't had it. There's been a couple that have been submitted recently, but they've kind of slowed down as far as submitting. I'm guessing, and maybe the past will tell, and I don't have that experience, but I'm guessing that come October we'll be slammed. They wait till the
Yeah.
very end to submit all their
Yeah.
change requests.
Probably August,
So this
September,
is-
we're going to see a pretty big uptick. I know we have two sizable CRs coming on surf venues and swimming lagoons. We're going to have several CRs coming out of the harmonization ad hoc committee. Probably a bunch, to be honest. I'm kind of looking at that. I'm anticipating probably about 50 CRs just out of the
Oh, wow.
harmonization committee. Yeah, maybe not that much, but I think I'm on probably 5 or 6 so far. We haven't even really gotten fully moving yet. We're going to have likely 6 or 7 coming out of the lifeguard ad hoc. So yeah, it's about to pick up a little bit more than what it has the last few months. And that's historically in keeping with how it's gone in the past.
That's what I would have guessed, that people kind of get into the swing of things and it takes a minute and then they submit them towards the end of the open window.
Yep.
So I expect we'll get busier. So this was a good practice. Well, it wasn't really a practice. We accomplished stuff, guys. We went through 4 CRs. It was fantastic. So, but a good dipping our toe in the pool, so to speak, to see how it works. And so August 2nd, I think, will be similar to this meeting. Those of us that can form a quorum. If we can have a quorum, we can go through a few others. If we don't have a quorum, we'll bump those back another week and go from there. And then we'll just keep, as the CRs coming in, Miklos and I and Dewey will start feeding them to our facilitators so that you can do the research and the discussion with your TSCs and go from there. Cool. Anything else? Any final last words?
Well, those of us that'll be at NEHA, maybe we could all meet in person and call in together from a local bar. I mean, a local meeting room.
I am with you, Joe. I think that sounds fantastic.
I feel left out that I'm not gonna be at NEHA.
You're close.
It's-
You can just drive over, Heather.
That is not an easy drive.
I agree. It's not.
It's gonna be
That's-
brutally hot down there.
Yeah.
I'm in North Carolina. I'm already experiencing that.
Oh, Heather, this is how I describe it, right? So I'm in deep South Mississippi. I'm an hour north of the Gulf. Okay. So for Mississippians in the deep South, there's not many things that we think are more humid than here. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So great example. My wife and I went to Atlanta in August. We were sitting on the back deck of our Airbnb eating ice cream, talking about how pleasant the temperature was. Right. I say all this to say this. We look at New Orleans in summertime and go, damn, that's hot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be pretty miserable.
I was in northern Ohio up by Lake Erie with my family last week, and lower 80s at daytime highs. It was so nice. Then we
Nice.
came back here to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain. We're 82 right now and the humidity is really low. So it's a dry 82. We're pretty comfortable. I'm happy here in Utah. So I'll feel the heat. It won't be this hot seat that I'm sitting in, but the one in New Orleans, I'll feel the heat when I get down there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do look forward to meeting you all in person and visiting, and hopefully we can make that meeting on the 2nd. But let's plan for now, moving forward to meet on the 2nd and going that way. But you guys are fantastic, and thank you for being so kind to me. You are so kind. I appreciate it. You guys are fantastic.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Have
Have
a
a
good
good
day.
Thank
afternoon,
you.
everybody.
Thank
Yep,
y'all.
take care.
See ya.
Take care. Bye.